All right, third one, because I just am full of energy tonight. All right, so next topic I wanted to make about super um, is just, well, about super and then about the fandom. Because I know it's not everybody. Don't want to tar the whole fandom with one brush. Um, it's it's about super and then just the the cancerous comments. I guess cancerous that a portion of the fandom uh make defenses, excuses they bring out. Um, yeah. So look, let me disclaimer. I don't hate super as in like all I do is bash on it. All I do is hate it. I watch it regularly. There's a lot of things I enjoy. Um, but it's not, it's, honestly, it is something to watch sometimes on the board. Um, but that doesn't mean I hate it. That doesn't mean I don't have problems with it. I can't have problems with it. Um, I don't want to say this is everybody, but sometimes I get the impression that there's some people are making legitimate complaints, and there are a lot of legitimate complaints. Um, a lot of responses I see to it are "See you next week. Why do you keep watching it if you don't like it?" Blah blah blah. Um, it's like I don't want to assume this, but it's almost it seems like they're suggesting the people who say those things, suggesting that the people who criticize it can't enjoy parts of it at the same time. Like they must hate it entirely, um, or they must like it like they must like it enough to keep watching it, so the flaws don't necessarily matter as much. Like if it's like if you dislike it enough to criticize it, you shouldn't it's like you shouldn't be expected to be watching it anymore. Um, that's the sense I get from the comments. Otherwise, why make the comment? But it's like no, that's not necessarily how that works. Sometimes you can criticize things because you like them and you want them to be better. Um, that's part of where criticism comes from. Ever heard of the term constructive criticism? Um, I will say that yes, there is criticism that's not constructive, but there is criticism that can be constructive if you kind of dig deeper and just try to get where that person's coming from. And like for me, for example, I've had more constructive criticisms in the past. Now a lot of it is just kind of more negative, but at the same time, that's because I'm disappointed in the way that things are going, and I would still like them to be better. And yes, I do. I do still make suggestions from time to time as to how I think they could have gone a better direction with X, Y, or Z. But if in general I do complain about the way some things are going, it's because I think they shouldn't have gone that direction. Hence, there is still a direction that I think they should have gone in. Now, to get the rest, if I don't say explicitly, to get all that from any criticism I make, where I don't make any suggestions at the same time, I can't expect everyone to read my mind and to know that I'm not just criticizing for the sake of criticizing. But that's why I legitimately criticize. So I will speak for myself and say that. Um, what I have a problem with is people who are like, in general, and this isn't just with this series. This is with other series as well. But this is like too good of an example. Like it's like, oh, see you next week. Why do you keep watching it? Oh, I hate negative comments, or why people keep hating on this. It's like not everyone hates on it for the reasons that I do and a lot of people do, constructively, but there are a lot of people who do for that reason, and I only speak for those people, or well, for me, and then I guess on some level for them. I mean, considering their opinions seem to line up with my own. Um, and it sounds kind of not. I don't know. It sounds kind of bad the way I said that, but anyway, um, well, I guess I was speaking defense of them. It's like you saying that, they can't, or why are you watching it, or see you next week, it doesn't, there's nothing of substance there. There's nothing of value to say. You're not addressing the criticisms that they have. You're not addressing the problems that they have with the series, the problem that the series itself has. You're not its flaws. You're not addressing them. You're not saying anything about them. You just kind of trying to shut that person up, or you just, in some cases they're name calling, and or it's really just suggestive. At worst, even if it's not name calling, it's just suggestive about the person who's criticizing it, like their person. You don't really know their person, so it's not to get all that about a person just from their comment. That's not necessarily accurate on your part. Assume like, oh well, they just kind of like they're punishing themselves almost because they're watching it. They shouldn't watch it, or they just want to bash on the series. You don't necessarily know that. But yeah, there's no weight to that. There are legitimate problems with the series, and they have a right to point it out. And you saying see you next week or you'll still watch it doesn't negate any of that. We could be watching it because we want to see how things play out, even though we still think some things, directions that were taken, are still bullshit. Like, for example, I don't think they should have. I don't think they should have chosen Frieza for this tournament. I think they should have stuck with Boo. I think it was kind of a bullshit decision for them to all of a sudden, the last minute, have Boo fall asleep for 2 months for some weird arbitrary reason, arbitrary time limit or time frame, some weird reason, and then no, we have to bring Frieza into this. Like, what? Think he should have stayed dead. If anything, pick someone else. They could have picked Yamcha. They could have picked Yamcha. But no, they just didn't for some fucking reason. I don't think they should have done that. They should have gone that direction, but they did, and I'm still curious to see how it plays out. If anything, I would still hope, even if they even go in this direction, they'd still be realistic about it and not be any more bullshit. But considering everything they've done so far, it's not far off to expect them to do some bullshit, because they keep doing bullshit. And it's like, some of us, I just want to see where else they take this, even though I still think they made the wrong decision. There's a curiosity there. That there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. So that in itself, that doesn't, just because we have a problem with the way things are going, doesn't mean we can't still watch it and see how it turns out. Okay, and then two, the other part of what I think are the cancerous comments are a lot of the excuses that are made, and headcanon that's made to kind of fill in the blanks. I get trying to fill in the blanks on its own, but I think there's a point where if there's such a consistency, like a constant, just lack of explanation on the part of production and writing. They let this happen, they have this happen, they have this happen. There's no clear explanation. It seems bizarre and out of nowhere or bullshitty, and they don't give us an explanation, or there's some throwaway line that's in there that doesn't really tell us anything. It raises more questions than it answers, and we're supposed to just accept it. I can give you an example off the top of my head. Roshi training, for example, in secret, like, what the fuck? And even 17, what? We're supposed to just accept it, and then I've seen people fill in the blanks, like, for both, and it's like, or make excuses for both, and it's like, well, even if those explanations were acceptable, even if I agree with all of them, I don't agree with all of them, but even if I did, that's not that's your explanation. That is your headcanon. That is not the series explanation. And the fact that the series constantly does not, it just throws things at us without explaining things right now. I'm talking about Super. That shows a laziness, as far as I can tell, on the part of production, writing, and those in charge. they're not doing the job of what they're supposed to be doing. Like, they're not doing the job of explaining things or telling the story like they're supposed to. They're just kind of throwing shit at us and expecting the audience to accept it. But we have to do the work of filling things in constantly. To me, that's like they're being lazy, and I have a problem with that. It's not just me. A lot of people saying, lazy writing, and I agree with them. It's like, you do this so many times, it just gets tiring. It's like, why do they keep not explaining things? And it gets, everything is confusing, and we have to do the work of explaining things, and it's like, people are making a lot of headcanon or excuses, and to me, that's not good enough, because it doesn't really answer the question. It's just, oh, well, maybe this, maybe that. Maybe it's not the same thing as this is this. Maybe it's not the exact answer, and sometimes we just want the exact answer. We don't want maybe. There are a lot of maybes. That doesn't answer the question. To me, that's not satisfying. It's just satisfying. It's not substantial. It's just maybe. Okay. So that is why I do not just stop at accepting headcanon or made up things. I want the series to explain things itself. If it doesn't, it's a problem. Now there's also the other point of, okay, I'm gonna throw this. This was a couple weeks ago. I think on that episode, just on the very episode where Cauliflower just achieved like Super Saiyan for the first time, a lot of people were complaining about this. I made a comment on one of the videos about it on YouTube, and about how this breaks previously established rules in Z, and someone responded to me. I couldn't respond to them back because the video got like removed, I guess due to copyright or whatever. And I could, for some reason, everyone else could fucking respond afterward, but I couldn't do it. I don't know, weirdness. I don't know, maybe I just don't know how to YouTube correctly. But this person, like, I remember they got all like personal about it almost, and like just saying shit to me, like calling me names and shit, like called me a bigot, all that stuff. I'm not here to like, talk about like, oh, like I feel like, make it seem like I'm such a victim or whatever. Like, I don't really care so much as they call me names, but it's like, damn, dude, you got on like name calling about it. Like, kind of chill. I wish I would have made this sooner, respond to them. It's a little late now, but I mean, it's to drive a point, anyway. So yeah, this person called me names, and then he or she went on to be like, oh, Goten and Trunks did this, so yeah, no, they didn't follow the rules. And then went on to say how, like Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, Trunks, they didn't follow the rules either. And I went through with that, and I went through to kind of dissect that a little bit. So yeah, I did get to respond to the person the first time that I remember, but not the second time. They said something else and I couldn't respond to them. I don't remember if I can find their comment anywhere. I could probably still find it on Google Plus, but that's too much work. So I'm just gonna. But basically, the gist of what they were saying was, because it's kind of like, because rules were broken before, there were no real rules, and I'm kind of a bigot for trying to, claim that there are rules that, the character should be following in order to, achieve this transformation. I remember one word being used, elitist, like I'm an elitist or something. And I'm like, no, that's not it. No, you got it all wrong. All right, it's not. I'm trying to be some sort of elitist or anything. That's not it. And you kind of went off the deep end a little too far, kind of trying to almost discredit my argument by personal attack, which is kind of stupid. But yeah, it's like, no. My problem was, it's not being consistent with Z's rules. And yes, there are rules. I already explained this in the second video. But I'll say it again. Super, as of now, falls within Z's timeline. Somewhere in between, like in between two parts of Z. So therefore, it is supposed to be. It should logically follow Z's rules. One of them being that in order to achieve Super Saiyan for the first time, you have to be under emotional stress. distressed. Most notably, you have to be like enraged. That's how that works, and that's how you get it the first time. She didn't do that, therefore she went against the rules. She contradicted the rules, and there was this entirely new rule in place. It's not even. There's no clear explanation as to how it's even vaguely remotely related to that previously established rule, and that's what I tried to point out to this individual. And it's like I see a lot of people doing this, and it's like the fact that you call me an elitist or bigot or whatever does not negate what I've been saying. Just because even Goten and Trunks did not follow this rule, I won't say completely contradicted, because there's still no real explanation as to how they did it. There could be one, but at this point it's kind of weird. It's kind of way late. I would consider it to be some sort of damage control to kind of just throw something in there. That's just me being cynical. But even though they didn't follow the rules at the time, they're still, as far as it went at the time, they're just outliers in what was the norm. It wasn't until now that now with cauliflower that there's a new rule in place, and now there may very well be a new norm, or just weird, like it's some weird rule just completely out of left field that completely just does not follow the norm at all. Like we got an entirely different explanation for it. We did not get one with those two previous characters. But at the time up until now, from that time up until now, they've just been outliers in what was still the norm up until now. Now all of a sudden there's something completely different. That's kind of a problem when it's not being explained, and I don't like it when people instead of kind of addressing the core point, like the argument itself, they kind of get all aggressive and start like this person, you're being an elitist, or just coming at the person personally, like, oh well, why do you still watch it if you don't like it? Try to be people bashing the series, or people still complain, you guys are never happy, blah blah blah. Now we get more content, you guys aren't happy. I've seen variations of that argument itself, and it's like, no, that's not substantive enough. It doesn't address the actual criticism being made. And plus, you're tarring every critic with the same brush. You don't know that person. You don't know what they asked for previously, what they asked for this new series to present to them. You don't know how many times they've complained about before, what they've complained about. You're just assuming. It's like you telling them what you kind of presuming to know what they've said or thought before. You don't know that. You can't speak for everybody. So it's like, well, why would you do that? And then, there's also another point I wanted to make. Damn it, what was it? Was I already said? Oh, I already addressed that argument of, see you next week, or why do you keep watching it? You guys are never happy. Elitist, this all elitist thing. Oh, there's no rule to that. Just bullshit. Damn, there's another one. Man, it was right on the tip of my tongue. I'm gonna give it a minute. God damn it. I don't know if I'm forgetting stuff all of a sudden. Oh, I remember what it was. So, here's another one. Here's another problem. Here's another argument I have that I've seen. It has to do with other characters than Goku and Vegeta being brought in. The whole, we rather, it's nice to have other characters be relevant again. This X character should be relevant again. Being badass. I like that he was being badass. I like that he was being used again. Would you rather have it just be the Goku and Vegeta show? All variants of the same thing. It has to do with characters. Most of the other characters, the other cast that we've grown up with, being pushed to the side. And now all of a sudden, the ones who are in this tournament, some people have a problem with that, and then some people are defending it as in, you should be happy that we were, or I'm happy that they're back. That's good enough for me. Why are you complaining about this, basically? I.e., Master Roshi. Even Channing Krillin. But I've seen a lot more people complaining about Master Roshi. I have complained about Master Roshi. Here's my problem with him being in the tournament. I know he's already in it, so it's kind of old by now, but I mean, I still think it's bullshit. He is the weakest link. He is, by all means, by all rights and rules established in the Z lore, he should not be in this tournament at all. There's no reason for him to be in it. First of all, this is a tournament of power. It's in the name. I'm sorry, it's in the name. I don't care. A lot of people have said this when this arc first started. Oh, it's not all about power. You experience stuff too. No, it is mostly about power. Mostly. Yes, teamwork and strategy plays a part. Yes. Experience plays a part, obviously, but it is mostly about power. Excuse me. First of all, why do you think Zeno-sama gets so excited when he sees strong people fight? It's because they're strong. Why do you think Goku wanted to participate in the tournament in the first place? Because he wanted to fight strong guys. Why do you think they gave such they made such a huge deal about, I'm talking about those Grand Prix and Zeno, in terms of like when they're looking to kind of weed out the weaker universes, or the universes with the lowest moral levels, like in terms of like which ones would be more reasonable to erase, because they had lower moral levels. Now I know on average, I know it's average, so it's not everybody, but that's the point. That's kind of the point. I mean, for God's sakes, 4 universes have been exempt from this tournament because their average moral level was so high. What do you think you're talking about? They're not. I've heard people talk about in terms of what was it, life force or population or how long they live, some shit like that. And it's like, no, that's not. It's about power. Don't even. That's some bullshit headcanon that came out of nowhere. Don't even. What do you think this is about? This is about power levels. It's always been about that. There's no. Why would this series has followed such a linear fashion. It's been the same formula, following a linear formula for so long. Why would it be any different all of a sudden? No, it's about power. Even if it's average, it's about power. So no. Therefore, there's no reason for Roshi to be in this tournament, because when it comes to power, he does not fit anywhere in this at all. I don't care if you even have some players in the tournament who are as weak as Frieza or Ginyu level. Like, I'm talking Namek Saga Frieza or Ginyu level. They're still freaking mighty strong, way stronger than Roshi has been since, beginning of Z? Even Resurrection of I questioned why the fuck he was even there, fighting Frieza's goons in the first, and he was getting tired. He was about to get fucked up before Roshi and Krillin, before Tan and Krillin jumped in to try and help him out. We saw this. There was hinting at it because he was getting all tired and shit. He was about to get beat up. Yeah, I don't even like the fact that he was there, but I can't change the fact that he was there. But yeah, he shouldn't have been picked for this tournament. He's such a weak link. Power wise, he shouldn't match up at all. Now here's the problem. Here's how I see the series try to get around this. And here's one way in which some fans kind of defended it. Oh well, it's not all about power. It's about experience. Some about experience too. Like, Roshi has tons of experience, battle techniques, and and whatever. He can use a lot of those techniques to catch enemies off guard and knock them out, or whatever. Okay, but when has that been so played up? When was the last time experience was played up? I mean, yes, experience is important. That's obvious. But, somewhat obvious. But to play that up to so much that overshadows Roshi's lack of battle power, no, that doesn't fly. In a series where power levels have been... I know numbers power levels are kind of bullshit, and numbers, like, as in, like, if you follow them to a T, it's bullshit, and numbers are kind of irrelevant. But there's still a tier that's always been established. You don't detract from that. The series is not detracted from that in its entirety. So you don't just completely just stick, flip at the bird because, just because you want to, and just because you want this character to be relevant. I've seen people say, "Oh, well, it's good that he's coming back," but this dude has had a power level of 139 since the beginning of Z. He hasn't trained since I don't fucking know when. He hasn't fought since the end of Dragon Ball. He's been retired since then. He hasn't done anything in Z, and now all of a sudden he's participating in this tournament just because what? And some of the characters want him when they were talking about recruiting people. They want him to participate because he has battle experience. So what? Battle experience doesn't. Power level is what gives you the edge in the long run. Battle experience doesn't gain you the advantage in the end over the opponent. We're mostly talking about the main villain, but in the end, in the series, it does not give you the edge if you don't have the power necessary to beat the opponent. I'm not saying that I like this system of your power level, basically the power tier that you're in. If you don't match up to that power, you can't be that person. I don't like that because it's like all of a sudden, if you don't have that power, you can't do shit, no matter how much power you actually have. But that's the way it's worked in series, like in universe. Now you don't just break that because he has power, he has experience. Why the fuck would they choose him in the tournament of power because he has experience? So what? They even I don't quite remember what they said in series that he might be good because he could be the strategist because of his experience. I've seen a lot of people, like fans, say this. But here's the problem with that. Why do they need him specifically as a strategist? I can tell you right off the bat. First of all, then this whole build up from the whole recruitment from beginning to end, before they started the whole recruitment process, certain characters become up with strategies left and right. Like Supreme Kai, he came up with a teamwork strategy. Always fight one more person than the number of your opponents. Teamwork, strategy. Beerus has been talking about teamwork from the get, just because that's what they need. Piccolo and Gohan have been working on teamwork strategies just by training. They kind of show that when they practice about Goku versus Goku and Tien. 18 and Krillin even brought that up. What's a battle royale? Teamwork. Battle royale with rules, teamwork, blah blah blah. I'm not saying all of them are strategists or tacticians, but I can tell you right off the bat that just because they came up with those alone does not necessarily mean that Roshi is necessarily qualified and necessarily deserves a spot as the team strategist. I can tell you right off the bat. I can even, on top of that, 4 characters in particular can replace Roshi in that role. Gohan, and he's just one of the last 2 out of those 4. Gohan, because he's so smart, he could probably come up with some strategy. He's a scholar, right? I don't see why he couldn't come up with some sort of strategy. I don't see why he couldn't throw that in there. But let's say that doesn't work. Let's say his scholarly scholarly talents does not fit within this battle. You have Goku. He's a fighting genius. He comes up with ways to win against his opponents. There's no reason why he couldn't come up with some bullshit, strategy wise. Even though he doesn't like to gang up on people, there's no reason why he couldn't come up with some sort of strategy. Since he's such a fighting genius. Vegeta's it's been shown to be a tactician in battle. I would say that's not necessarily when it comes to pure fighting, but in terms of kind of winning over opponents, some sort and sort of outsmarting them somehow. He's done that. He did that the whole fucking time in Namek. Not necessarily battle wise. He did sometimes, but he found ways to quickly try and gain an advantage over his enemies at the time, just in general. So he's smart enough to do that shit. He figure out ways in mid battle to outsmart his opponents. So he could be the strategist tactician. No matter how stubborn he is, he could be. Then we go to Piccolo. I mean, he hasn't shown this in a while. I feel bad. I feel like, everyone just kind of forgot about it. Like, he just kind of was just kind of like forgotten about as a strategist. But he's shown this early Dragon Ball Z. Like, maybe even arguing Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball Z, during the Saiyan saga, he was strategic as fuck. He even did this in Super. It's Battle Against Frost. He has the mind of a tactician. He could come up with some sort of strategy. He even did this when training Gohan. So he has a good mind. He has a great mind. And it's been played up so many times in Z. I don't see why he couldn't be the tactician, if not one of them on the team. So why does Roshi all of a sudden need to be on the team? You have to be at that spot. It doesn't make any sense. So that argument by fans is just, it doesn't hold weight, considering there are many other characters that could outshine him in that role. Also, the fact that he was mentioned in series in that one episode, just a throwaway line by Goku. Oh, you've been training in secret. Okay, so what does that have to do with anything? First of all, why does that matter, considering the whole very reason you were going to recruit him in the first place was just for his experience? No, why does that matter? Why bring that up? Why take the time to bring that up? Why take the time for production to have the words come out, make those words come out of his mouth, to bring that up? It's not important. Second, even if it was important, even if it was important to mention, so what does that fall into anything? First of all, why would he even have? No, well, that's gonna be my last point. But first of all, why would that be significant? Okay, let's assume he was training in secret for a long ass period of time. Where would he fall in terms of power level? Why would that be any sort? Would his gains be any sort of significant? I mean, Tien always trains. He trained for 7 years in between Cell and Boo, and then the one time he confronted Boo, look what happened. He still got he still got jobbed. Like, he didn't make any significant gains. So I mean, I don't think Roshi would make any sort of significant gains in that respect either, considering his body is old as hell on top of that. Like, I'm not saying, he can't hold his own in some sort of fight with some weaker goons, like even fighting just robbers and shit. But I mean, there's no to tell me that he can hold on his own in this tournament. You gotta expect that there's supposed to be really strong guys, and you're gonna throw this guy in there. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Especially given the fact, like, you have characters like, just going back to the Cell arc, in preparation for the Cell games, Piccolo, Vegeta, and Trunks went back in the they went in the chamber. Piccolo went in for the first time. Vegeta and Trunks went in for the second time. So they each went in for a year, came out, and they still weren't strong enough to beat Cell. And now all of a sudden, Roshi's been training for some amount of time, and he's not a Saiyan, he's not a Namekian. And he's made, like, what significant gains has he made by comparison? Even if it's been years. It's like, there's no way he's made that. So if the Saiyans in that one time, in that 1 year or day, whatever time you want to follow, and the Namekian could not make a significant amount, a significant gain, even if two of them had an advantage over Cell at one point in time, they couldn't make a significant gain enough to best Cell at his strongest form. What would Roshi bring to the table? He's still below that. I mean, there's no way for us to realistically expect him to be on par with that, or even above that, even near that. No, there's no way. And then lastly, why would he be training? What in-universe incentive could he possibly have to be doing this? There was no explanation. All we got was he's been training in secret. Why? For what? I mean, I'm not saying this is everyone, but I mean, I get that some character, like some fans want him to and other characters to be relevant again, but can we not have it be in such a bullshit way? Just kind of shoehorn that shit in, like shoehorn them into relevancy, like with no real rhyme or reason. Like, it's insulting to the audience. Like, oh, he's been training. Okay, why? For what? Why? What? How does this fall into anything in the story? What bearing does this have on anything? We know why Goku and Vegeta train. We know why Chan trains. We know why Gohan trains. We kind of know why Piccolo trains. We know why Krillin trains now. There was no reason given that to us as to why Master Roshi trains. Even 17, there's no reason as to why either of them train. Yet they have been, just because. It's like the only reason I could think this is even relevant to bring up now is just for convenience for this arc. 17 power in turn just for power, just power wise. Even though it's still kind of bullshit. Yeah, okay, for power. Roshi, it's all kind of a weird clusterfuck of, I don't get it, because you first of all, the only real reason, characters in universe were said to try and pick him was because of his experience, not his power. Explicitly because of experience. He could be a good strategist. But now all of a sudden, as soon as he tries to like recruit him, you've been training in secret. So, what does this matter? Why bring that up? Is this gonna be a plus somehow? Is this gonna matter all of a sudden? Like, I don't. It's bullshit, and it's like I get that fans want characters to be relevant, but can we not have it in the bullshit way? Like, I don't like it when the people in charge bring characters in and they make them sort of relevant, but they give them power-ups or a boost in power, or they throw shit in there, and it's kind of just shoehorned in just for the sake of it, all just to make it seem believable. And it's not really. It raises more questions than it answers. It's kind of insulting to the audience. I think it's a problem when certain fans just kind of defend it like it makes sense when it doesn't. And then when they get all personal and criticize personally the people who criticize the decisions made by production because it doesn't make sense. I don't like the way some of the fans do this. It's like there's no. This is what makes part of the fandom cancer. It's like I don't want to say that they don't have any brains, but they don't seem to be putting any real thought into what they're saying when they just come out of nowhere and just start like making these like counter arguments to saying these things and just coming at other people who make the criticism. You're not really saying anything substantial, and I feel like I need to point that out. It's so constant, and I still see it to this very day. It's dumb. And I think said people need to put more thought into what they're saying, into their counter arguments, counter claims, because it's stuff like this that I don't want to say kind of makes it okay, but it doesn't, because you're not complaining, you're not calling out the bullshit. It's like it's almost like it's okay for the bullshit to still be bullshit. And it's like, no, it's not. So I feel like we should be pointing it out. If you don't agree, that's one thing, but to kind of just write the critics off as if what they're saying is legitimate, just write them off and do personal attacks. No. Or make excuses for shit. We just want to see this, we want to see that. That's right on the line of fan service. That's what we're getting now, all this fan service. Episode 100, fan service. The other episode when Colorful first transformed, fan service. That's all we're getting right now, and it's just dumb. So that's all I wanted to say. This video is way long, but no, I wanted to talk more about the arguments and the problems that I see with the series. Arguments that don't really, in defense of it, that don't really add any weight, don't really say anything substantial. They're just kind of there. I wanted to point that out because it's a problem. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Yeah, until next time, I guess. Maybe I'll make another review on episode 101 if it gets to be bullshit. I think it's gonna be. Probably it's going to be nice. I like to see what the Pride Troopers do. They're really, their techniques look cool. They look interesting. I like to see what they do because they're not. They seem to be more like fresher, whatever, than what we see a lot now. It's just from a lot of our main characters and shit. They bring actual other techniques to the table. They're kind of eccentric, and I like that. I want to see more of that. So looking forward to that part anyway. Yeah, so that's about it. So yeah, till next time.